You know what that's called, ma'am? There's a simple term for it. Violent coaching. I'm coaching you through violence. They put us out. So, because they're not doing the normal things in society, as we know, then that would be, of course, abnormal. We want them to do the right things in society, which we call normal. But we kicked them out of that. We've put them out. So now the violent coaching is, we're going to get them. Here you go, Greenville. Here's something. I'm going to teach you how not to get robbed. No, I'm going to charge him for it.
Now he's been hanging around me.
I'm gonna teach you.
To Bernie's face. She like, I hope she don't cut you. She like,
I'll teach you how not to get robbed. A lot of times when we go to the gas station and the store and stuff, that's when we see we see folk that don't look so favorable, right? Mm-hmm. And we have a tendency that when we're walking in, we shy away from them. Mm-hmm. You just made yourself a target because you gave them something that they lack anyway. What is it that they lack? Emotions. What emotion did you give them by doing this? Fear. They felt the fear. You feared them. Now, if they're lacking emotions, they remember what emotions are like. So perhaps by feeling that fear, maybe now they want to make you their target. Right? And not only that, that in some societies for them is a lack of disrespect too. Okay? So how do you fix that? How do you stop from getting robbed? Instead of turning away, give them some love. Hey brother, how you doing? How's it going today? You all right? How things in the neighborhood? You kids doing okay? Good.
No, I can't rob you.
Because I just made a connection.
Yeah, and I just looked at you.
It's about connecting.
I just talked to you. I can't rob you because you know my voice.
It's not, don't take it as a guarantee, y'all.
He robbed you anyway.
No. Don't take it as, no, let's be careful. Don't take it as a guarantee, but it's a reduction. You lessen the chance of it happening to you just by giving love and some respect. So that's, again, how they get stuck. How they're not able to overcome.
Okay.
Because of, again, the I factor. I can only see it from my perspective. If one of your loved ones are going through something, take off your shoes. Put on their shoes. Get in their shoes.
Don't judge them.
And sit down. Listen, in a husband and wife argument, the reason sometimes things don't get resolved is because neither one of them heard each other. You know why? Because I'm so busy trying to prepare what I'm going to say, I miss what she had to say. So then nothing gets resolved.
No.
And if she's doing the same thing, that she's so busy preparing for what she's going to say, nothing gets resolved. It's the ability to stop and listen and then regurgitate what they said to you. So you saying that when I didn't show up at your basketball game for that one time, that affected you and hurt you.
The 999 that I showed up at.
The 999 don't count.
I'm acting the way y'all really want to act. But that one.
It's what matters to
them.
You see?
Yes.
And we can't embrace that because we're so busy trying to make what matters to me count. So I miss what my loved one is trying to tell me in a moment on why they're hurting, why they're outside, why they're doing the things that they're doing, why they smoking dope, why they drinking drinks.
Why they quitting jobs?
Why are they quitting jobs? Because I can't hear them. They need us to listen. And if I'm listening, I'll tell you what you said. So you said, because, and don't even mention the 999. That's not a good idea. You saying because I didn't show up at this game, son, and I missed that game. I hurt you. I failed you. And I left you in a place where you're still angry with me. And then they will affirm what you're saying. They will affirm it. Now you got a conversation. Now you got a connection. Now we're getting somewhere. Now we're on the move. It's got to be personally relevant for them. If you really want to help them, it's got to be personally relevant for them. Right?
Yes.
Because that's what gives a strong motivation to change. Oh, he understands me. He got it. She got it. Now we're able to move from where we are.
Question? So we have to learn to listen.
Listening is key.
What was that you had on your tablet that we were looking at?
I think I touched on it.
Oh, okay, so we covered it.
I think
So we have to deconstruct the hostility that creates a friction between us and a person. Because I guess you're saying in some sense, both parties can be right, but neither party is willing to listen to the other party.
In other words, shut up. Yeah. In other words, shut up
And listen.
and listen. Because they're trying to tell you something.
Because it may not be relevant to us, is what you're saying.
Right. Just earlier, and I, of course, won't mention who, we heard a story about a young man who's out there hurting now and making comparative speeches to where this person is, but don't realize that what the person is saying about you and where you are today, they're really describing where they were and when they got hurt.
Right.
They're not talking about today. They're talking more about where they were when this particular thing happened to them.
So they're stuck in their past and they're struggling in their reality.
All right. Yes.
Is
Okay.
it? Okay. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Because
Yes.
if it don't make sense, and
Yes,
then
it makes
he-
sense. That
then
makes
He
sense.
and I got to go through a whole nother
No,
level. 'Cause
we're
he'll
all
be
right.
telling me I can't have any visual, and I'll be like, dude, I just told you. So it could it. So now, if they're stuck where they were, what would you recommend? And I see something here about a central route. And what would you recommend how to draw them out, even if you listen to them? How do we help people? We have talked about deconstructing, but how do we help people reconstruct?
We have to learn communicative factors.
Okay.
Now, unfortunately, it's true. It is true. The more attractive a person is, they're able to get a message through. The more likable a person is, they're able to get a message through. The more credible a person is, they're able to get a message through. Yes, that does count, but that's on the peripheral side of things of doing it. So you asked about the central. The central and the peripheral route is what is called the elaboration likelihood model, is what it's called. And what that really means is just critical thinking.
Okay.
Getting a person to a place where they can critically think about what is going on with their lives. So let me try to explain. The central route would be the idea of if you're driving down, what's the street everybody knows here? 25. Is that a highway or a street? No, give me a street.
Pansy.
Pansy. Okay, you're driving down Pansy. You got the yellow lines in the middle, right?
We hope.
Okay. Then you have in the yellow lines, you know, that center where you do your left turn and stuff like that. Okay, so that, let's call that the center route, which it is. It's in the center of the street. It's division. Okay, so that would be the center route. Okay, that's the line of communication that we need to open up, the central route. Now, there's another route that's called the peripheral route. Let's call that the right lane. Okay, it exists, but it's not noticeable as it would be if somebody is driving directly down the center line. I mean, they just simply just rolling down the center lane here. That would be the central route. So in the central route, what you do is you have to understand, and I'll put it to you this way. If you want to remember, just remember pre-strong motivation. Pre-strong motivation. P-R-E, strong motivation. What does that mean? The P stands for personal. Remember, you got to get rid of the I principle. It cannot be about you. It has to be something personal for them. And it has to be relevant. That's your R. P-R. Then emotions. Now, the one thing about using the central route is this. Is that the emotions of the person when you're talking to them could be negative or neutral. Not good. It doesn't matter if you're in a good mood. They can be neutral or in a bad moment when you're talking to them, as long as it's personal and relevant. Now you got to give a strong argument, which is the strong, as to why. Not your why, but their why. So you got to know who you're talking to in order to help them. What is the why for them? And you support their why. You lift up their why. And you motivate, which is the last one, the motivation. You motivate their why. Well, I know you can't do it all today, but what little bit can we do right now? That's the central route. And the peripheral route is just, well, in the peripheral route, it's seen as unimportant, and their attitude could be counted in. It could be dependent on their mood, whether they're in a good mood or bad mood or whatever mood in the peripheral route. And sometimes they lack understanding in the peripheral route because you're not engaging them about something that they want, right?
Well, let me ask a question, and I wouldn't say I beg to differ. But what happens if you are engaging them and they have just shut everybody out? Because literally, and this is a word that I was going to bring up, literally, it's not you. They're holding a grudge against themselves.
If that be the case, why don't you like you?
Okay, well, it's time to go home now. Because, see, no, what I'm saying is because when you deal with people from a spiritual perspective and you're trying to help them, one of the things that I meet, whether local or national, international, is when you're trying to say you have the ability to do that, but they're tuning you out because they feel pressure of the expectation because they're holding internal grudges against themselves. And when you're giving people truth and you're saying to him or her, you only have a certain amount of time. You have a shrinking window. You don't have this time if you're just now discovering yourself at 25, you're almost 15 years behind. And so now when someone tells you something, you don't want to listen, and they're telling you for your best interest. Because they care. That's what a shepherd, that's what a leader is. They care about you. They're concerned not only about your spiritual growth, but they're concerned about your spiritual maturity and your economic vibe to be able to sustain your family, because the Bible says a wise man leaves an inheritance to his children. So if you wait later to get what you should have done earlier, Satan's always cutting up, done earlier, now there's friction. And so you have an internal grudge, and that's a powerful thing that I had not said. Why don't you like you? Because your body is the temple where the Holy Spirit is supposed to reside. You cannot tear a temple down if you have another 15 years before you get there. You cannot be so angry and begrudge and have those illusions in your head that the church and the people are against you. Look up how many people get shot at church, and look at how many people get shot in the streets and shot in the clubs. But you trust the club, you trust the street, but you won't trust God. So for me, and being very honest as a pastor, I struggle with now trying to help people because of their own personal grudge, because you know what? I should have listened to you and went to school before my children got a certain age, because now I can't perform this in my life anymore. And this job where I should have been doing what I should have been doing, I didn't do. And now this job is taxing my body. When I sat under your ministry for 18 years, and you told me the day you walked in, your body will not hold up under this pressure. You need more than just enough to survive to feed your family. And so for me as a pastor, that's why I bring him in, bring other educators, bring other doctors in, so we can feed the holistic person, body, mind, and spirit, and mental health of the believer in Christ. That's what I'm talking about. So then when someone says, just as he said to me, he says, then we need to discover why you don't like yourself. Because I'm telling you something, God has given everybody in here a seed. It's not based on your color, size, shape. It's not on your proclivity. It's on you. And until you're willing to open up to the will of God. Because sometimes what God has for you is not what you want to be. And sometimes we're holding a grudge based on our failures and guilt. I wasn't there for mom. I wasn't there for grandmother. When my grandmother passed, I was nowhere around. But the enemy will play tricks in our minds. And he always make you feel like you're indebted. When God said, I come to set you free. So you have about 10 minutes, brother. What would you like to say? Now, am I right or wrong? Now, help me out, because
yes,
you're my brother. You
do. If a person feels that way about themselves, then there's a reason why they feel that way. Self-discovery for them is important, which means I have to have time and patience, because it's not easy to visit the disturbing moments in life. I've watched and talked to people again who've committed homicides, and I've learned that it's not easy to visit that. Some will even have amnesia regarding those traumatic pains that happened to them in life. But being able to just stand in the desert.
Okay. We're back in the desert.
And just let them do the dig. You have to listen. They'll give you insight. They'll give you clues. And then you just ask them about the insight and the clue that they gave you. And then they will dig a little bit more into what they're trying to uncover, that they probably don't realize is there, or do realize is there, but it's too painful for them to deal with. So, in the process of change, number one, can't nobody change nobody but God.
That's true.
So we're looking for God to do the changing.
Right.
But if we have patience to sit with that individual while they recover lost memories or painful memories, while they keep yourself out of the picture, and then will they begin to recover? Then will they begin to heal? Because they know now this is the thing that happened in life that caused me to be how I am. I need my heroine to live outside of reality.
Okay.
Because you taught me when I was little or an adolescent or wherever time that I got derailed, you taught me how to live beyond reality because of the pain. I met a Chrysler executive downtown Detroit. He was an indigent, laying on the sidewalk, asking for money. Officer was not treating him well. Get off the corner. Stop begging for money. Go get a job. What's wrong with you? That man stood up and he said, son, let me tell you something. He said, I was a Chrysler executive. He said, but my wife got cancer. And it hurt me so bad. I couldn't go to work. I couldn't sleep. I couldn't do anything. I started drinking, and then I got on drugs. I couldn't bear the pain. He said, so be careful how you talk to people, because you don't know who you're talking to.
That's true.
And he walked away. You hear what I'm saying? The pain was too much, and he went from the top to the bottom. There are tops and bottoms in everybody's lives.
That's true.
And I don't know. I know where you are,
Right.
but I don't know where you've
Ben.
been,
And how you got there.
how you got there. You can't always think that I'm talking to you from today,
Right.
because we might have a conversation and you having a conversation with a 12-year-old.
Right. And that's what we were talking about. You can be 40, but you're still stuck in that pain or that fear. So everything you handle, and correct me if I'm wrong, because he's more skilled in psychology than me. I just, you read one little psych book, you think you get a little certificate. Okay, well, good luck with that. Okay, this is why you need people. Now, recommending any pastor, you need people on your staff that can help deal with the human side of people. So you're telling me if I'm stuck out here in pain, it's almost like I'm not even hearing you because of my pain. And until I come into the realization, and you could be 40, you could be 50, but that pain, that failure is where it becomes a centerpiece. So all of our emotions and rejects run through this one vein?
It's very possible. It's very possible. Every individual is different, and only when we take time with that individual will we actually discover what the situation is. If they can't hear you, there's a reason why they don't hear you. It's a reason why they rather stay in the house than come outside and play with everybody else.
Wow. Any other questions? Man, y'all, we not at a funeral. Come on. Everybody all quiet. I guess it's that deep moment thinking. Yes, ma'am. Okay, so what you're saying is they're big as a person. In other words, they're in their 20s or their 30s. But yet, their conversation is a conversation of maybe a 9-year-old. And where they should be speaking from, they're not able to speak from that. But then their behavior and their emotions. You're saying, what is the best practice? What is the best way to communicate with them?
Well, one, it really takes a trained professional to really see those internal type switchings. If a person is actually communicating in that way, everybody can't see it, is what I'm saying. And it may not even have to be a professional. Some people just learn people, and they may know how to do it too. I wouldn't even discount a pastor who would be able to do the same thing.
I would.
But it depends on the level of understanding that that person have. So let's incorporate more people into what I'm saying that is able to determine or see that this person is communicating in that style. A lot of times you will see a switch, and sometimes this is very, well, I'll give you a more manifested switch. They'll be talking to you and they'll be like, hey, how you doing? And then they say, I really don't want to talk to you, and you're really bothering me right now. That sometimes could be indicative of a switch.
Okay.
You see, not always, because some people are just playing. But if you talk to them and you see it happening frequently, then you can start saying there is a mechanism of a switch there. And then again, it takes some person that is trained to be able to observe that. So don't, run off thinking that, ooh, I'm talking to a kid. Don't run out of here thinking.
But let's take it another level. You're talking with a person about an issue or a need in the home or on the job, and it goes from 10 to 1,000, and another set of a range of emotions come out that has nothing to do with what you're talking about.
That would be applicable too, but again, since behavior has so many variations, that could also be the way that I was taught to respond. If I saw, again, like we said Sunday, that if mom and dad was in the house beating on each other, that becomes love to me because they never separated. So then I go out and I think I'm supposed to be aggressive with my wife or my girlfriend because that's what I saw in my house. And everybody say, no, that's wrong. But there's an internal mechanism inside of you that you don't feel connected unless you're acting in that way. Well,
I say the same thing about struggling, and survival. If that's all you know, what changes for you to do something else? If your dad worked in this particular field his whole life and he had enough to feed the family, but he never had enough to establish a family, male or female, because there's some women out here that are wonderful breadwinners, so we're not discounting you. That's my thing, is the visual, where it's the norm. And when someone comes along and say that you need to have more than one seed, not only to take care of you and your family, but that your sons and daughters and your nieces and your nephews to share, that will sustain your family, because every generation is not going to be as strong as you were. How old is your father?
85.
Everybody's not going to make it to 85. And so if we've been taught, like you say, the mother and the father interaction, and it's uncomfortable, and you think that's a relationship. Some people think yelling and screaming is communicating because that's their norm. So what I'm trying to say, if all you and I see is poverty and what people say about you and point to your ethnicity and tell you and always show you that you're a failure, then how can you establish anything? If you are always trapped behind someone else's nightmare, and you will not come out of the house and be exposed to the opportunities that are there for you as well as anybody else. Most people cancel themselves out than people put you out. Now I'll let you close. We got 3 minutes. I told the staff that we'd probably be running to 8. You got 3 minutes? I mean,
I don't have anything else going on. Go ahead.
And so that's the whole point of coming together and having a broadcast, is that it is to make you think about the next level and opportunity of your life. And for me, and he's helping me because I'm a very strong person, but there are tools that you have. And if we all work together and share together, then we all can build together. And we can help another generation not go through the same struggles. I've heard people say, well, it was hard on me. I want it to be hard on them. Hard does not always develop people. Am I right? You're more free to chime in. Making it hard does not. You need tools. And I tell parents, you are your children's heroes. And if mama and daddy are afraid, why would you send your child to a land that you too afraid to walk in yourself? God bless you. I'll see you soon.